According to a new report from SEMA, Republican presidential candidate Vivek Ramaswamy actually told two of his associates that he had a phone call with Chris Ruddy, the president of the conservative outlet Newsmax, earlier this summer. And Ruddy told him, according to these two associates, that if you want to get more favorable coverage on our network, if you want us to interview you in a good time slot instead of throwing you on at 10 o'clock in the morning, then maybe you ought to consider advertising on our network, right? A little pay to play, a little quid pro quo, according to these associates of Vivek Ramaswamy. Now, again, they maintain that this is what Ramaswamy told them based on the conversation that he had with Chris Ruddy, president of Newsmax. But that doesn't seem right. Here's the thing. We may not like Newsmax. I don't like Vivek Ramaswamy either, right? I don't like either of these entities that I'm talking about here, but I think when you analyze what's really happening here, what seems more likely? That the president of a conservative network would go out there, risk it all by telling somebody, if you want on my network, you have to pay me. Does that seem more likely? Or does it seem more likely that Ramaswamy simply misunderstood when Ruddy was like, listen, if you want to reach more people on Newsmax, you just buy ads on it. I mean, that's how you reach the most people anyway, right? Because that, by the way, is actually the response from the company. So let me read you the response from Newsmax, because Newsmax obviously, says this whole thing is a farce. Obviously, we would never say that to somebody. But here's what they said. Newsmax is asking candidates to advertise in order to ensure coverage as some quid pro quo is categorically untrue and correct. Newsmax would take an assertion such as that very seriously. There's no correlation between advertising and editorial visibility for any candidate on Newsmax. If candidates want to reach our audience outside of our programming, then, of course, advertising would be a good way for them to do this. That is the basis of all political advertising. They then went on to be like, that's pretty much how it works on all networks. If you want to reach our audience, the best way to do it is to advertise on our network. Now, that doesn't seem, if, of course, that is what Chris Ruddy was trying to say, and maybe he said it, wrong, but it just kind of seems like he was trying to hint that, listen, dude, you want to reach my audience with my network? Advertise. That's the best way to do it. He's not saying you want to come on my network, you give me money, and then we'll book you on some shows. That, not exactly what happened, right? But here's the thing. Newsmax did point out, according to Ramaswamy's associates, that Perry Johnson, who apparently is another Republican running for president, I didn't even know that, but they said Perry Johnson did that, and oh, look at that, he's all over the other shows. And it's true, and Newsmax in their print division has run multiple stories about how great Perry Johnson is. He's hosting a show on Sunday evenings while he's running for president. What's it called here? Perry Johnson in Primetime. So Perry Johnson gave us money, and now look at how well he's doing. How well he's doing. I cover politics literally every day for a living, and I didn't even know that this guy existed. So maybe Ramaswamy might want to just hold on to his money. I mean, to be honest, he is doing much better than I think any of us thought he would. Went from an obscure nobody to essentially being in second place. A poll last week, national Republican poll, placed him ahead of Ron DeSantis. So to be honest, you don't need Newsmax. But you also don't need to be misrepresenting what they said to you. And if Chris Ruddy did in fact tell you that this is basically a quid pro quo, then that is something that would obviously need to be investigated. But I don't think we even need to get that far. This is likely just a case of a simple misunderstanding. One side exaggerates it to their friends, the other exaggerates it to the others. And now we're left with this big, stupid mess because there's only so much spotlight in that Republican Party, and all of these little freaks are clamoring for their 15 minutes of fame. Hey everyone, this is Aspen. And did you know that for the low cost of $0 per day, you can subscribe to the Fair and Balanced YouTube channel. We also encourage you to like, comment, and share, but again, click that subscribe button. and help Aspen not be so grumpy.